Hello everyone, welcome to another vlog. So we'll make today's vlog a Q&A. I've got some questions that I want to address. And the first question has come from Shruti from Singapore. So Shruti says that she is in her final year of college, okay? And she wants to know my views on the idea of pursuing an MBA right after college. Okay, I'm assuming you are from India, Shruti, or you have some India connection. Not because of your name, but because only Indians think of pursuing an MBA right after college. I think in pretty much every other country, you need some experience before you can get into a B school. I think India is one of the few countries where you can happily get into good B schools without any experience. To answer your question, I think it's a terrible idea. Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea to pursue an MBA without experience. Because the MBA is not a very theoretical course. You see, it's a very practical course. It's also a lot about things beyond the classroom. Networking, interacting with corporates. So, the maturity to do all of that only comes if you've been in a work environment for a few years. Right out of college, you actually wouldn't be able to make sense of a lot of the things which are happening at the B school. Bigger problem is you won't be able to fit into the batch, especially if you're looking at international schools. In fact, if I talk about international schools, most of them will not take you in any case. While a lot of the schools say that they are open to people with no experience, if you actually look at the batch profile, there will only be maybe 3 or 4 people with no experience, and they would have exceptional profiles in the sense they would have shown a lot of maturity in whatever they've done so far. Because maturity will be the most important thing that you will have to display along with clarity of goals if you want to get into a B school right out of college. Though, as I said, I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should work for a couple of years and then try to get into a B school. What you can actually do is look at programs such as Harvard's 2+2. Because these are programs where you can apply right now when you are in the final year of your undergrad, and you get like a deferred admission. So in case of Harvard, I think you work for 2 years. They will probably even help you get the internship, and then you join HBS. But your seat is guaranteed right now. Yale has a similar program. Yale has a program called the Silver Scholars, which is again interesting because it's similar to HBS 2+2. But the first year, you will join the B school. So right after passing out, if you get into the Yale Silver Scholar program, next year you will spend at the Yale campus pursuing a first year MBA. The second year, you will go and pursue an internship. It's a 1-year compulsory internship. The third year, you will come back to the Yale campus and complete your MBA. So you'll actually be pursuing an MBA with 2 different batches with an internship in between. It's a very interesting program, but it's a very small intake. The Silver Scholars takes around 10 to 15 students. The acceptance would be around 6-7%. So it's not easy to get through, and you need a very good GMAT score. Because you guys, at this point in your career, you don't have much to show in terms of other accomplishments. So you definitely need a high GMAT, and you need to highlight maturity in your application essays. The third program you can look at, if you're okay with coming to India, ISB. The Indian School of Business has a Young Leaders program, which is very similar to Harvard's 2+2. So you can look at that also. Though I think the admissions for that are over for this year. So I think you will be a little late for that. But do explore it. So my suggestion is either look at these programs like the HBS 2+2 and the Yale Silver Scholars, or wait for 2-3 years, rather work for 2-3 years and then apply to a B school. Pursuing an MBA fresh out of college is not a good idea. Okay, so let's take another question. This has come from Isabel from the US. So Isabel says that she's just taken her GMAT 4 days back and she scored a 690. Okay, that's a good score, Isabel. And she says she's been getting around 680 to 720 on the GMAT preps. So what she wants to know is, should she retake? Now that she has a 690, should she retake? The schools she is looking at are Ross, Fuqua, Haas, in that category. Okay, I think you were extremely unlucky, Isabel, because 690 I think is the worst possible score. Because you are so close, yet so far. So it's just 10 points from a 700, but it is not a 700. Having said that, I don't think you need to retake because your GMAT prep scores were around 710, 720, in which case a 690 is pretty much your true score. So it's possible that when you retake, it can go up to a 700 or 710. It can also just as well go down to a 670 or a 680. However, you don't have anything to lose by retaking because you can always cancel your score if it's lower. So if the $250 are not a big deal for you, you can retake. And retake it right after your 16-day period is over. You don't really have to wait for anything because you won't be making any changes to your prep as such. You will just hope for better luck, or you'll just hope to have a better day. So I think with a 690, you would be able to apply to pretty much all the colleges you mentioned. You will be slightly below their average GMAT, but you should be pretty competitive. Though I'm not sure what the rest of your profile looks like. I'll give you a second advice also. In case you do want to retake, one thing that you may want to do is, make some changes to your prep. Now again, I don't know how you prepared the last time around, but you could try making some changes to your prep, spend another month or month and a half, with some new strategies maybe. You can try out a private tutor or something. And then retake, because it would be better if you were getting a 750, 760 in your GMAT preps and you retake at that point, because then your chances of getting a 730, 40 are higher. Retaking right now, we are purely banking on luck or on you having a good day. But if you retake after a bit of prep, you will also feel a little more confident. So again, I don't know how your timelines work out, which round you're applying in, but if possible, do look at, spending a month or 2 months making changes to your preparation strategy and then retaking. So that's my suggestion to you, Isabel. Okay, so let's take a last question now, which has come from Akhil from India. So Akhil says that he has been preparing for the GMAT on and off for the past 6 months. He says his weakness is English, which actually I can see because he says he gets around 48, 49 in quant and around 20, 22 in English. This is on the GMAT prep. And okay, so Akhil is taking the GMAT in a month's time and he wants me to give him some tips to increase his verbal score. Well, Akhil, I'll give you an answer that will not exactly make you happy, but I'll speak the truth. Now, if you're getting a 20 in verbal or a 22, that is a terrible score. I'm sure you know that. But the bigger problem is, if you're getting a 20 or a 22, it means that there is something majorly lacking in your approach. It could be that, you've not been in the habit of using too much of English. So comprehension, I'm sure, is one problem. And not just on reading comprehension, also on the other 2 question types. So I'm sure that is one problem. So all this I'm inferring from your 20, 22 average verbal score you're getting. So my inference from there is that something is majorly lacking in your verbal preparation. Now, you haven't mentioned how you prepared, but if you take the GMAT in a month's time, I don't see you getting a drastically increased verbal score. Because you say you've been preparing for the past 6 months, 8 months, and still you are stuck on a 22 or a 20, which means something is majorly lacking. And since you spent 6 months, I'm assuming you've been preparing by yourself. It may not be a bad idea to get some help, honestly. Specifically for verbal, quant looks fine in your case. I'm assuming you are an engineer from India. But it would be a good idea to get some help on board. A private tutor or a coach who can pinpoint the problems in your verbal prep and who can help you correct those. Because there is something seriously lacking. Any shortcut tips that I give you will not be effective because the problem in your case will be more conceptual. Had you been around 28, 30, I would have given you a few tips which would have, maybe helped you get up to a 33, 34. But at a 20, 22, I'm telling you something is majorly lacking in the way you've prepared. It's very likely that you need to spend another 3-4 months with a new strategy, a new approach. A good GMAT coach may realize that your comprehension is terrible right now. And before he or she starts teaching you, he may even ask you to, read up a few books for a month, just do some general reading to brush up on your comprehension ability. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, but all I'm saying is, I don't think you should take it in a month's time because a lot of people go into the GMAT with wishful thinking that it will magically improve. It doesn't happen. Normally it goes down. If you've been getting a 20 or a 22 in your practice test, most likely on the GMAT you'll get an 18 or a 19. I'm not trying to demoralize you, but I'm just, as I said, saying it as I see it. And that's the way I see it. So I think you should get some help on board. Send me more details, with your prep strategy, your performance in the OG, and I'll give you some more detailed inputs on, how you can approach the whole thing. So feel free to mail me. Okay, I think that's enough questions for today's vlog. So I hope you guys found whatever I said informative, and I shall see you tomorrow in a new vlog. Have a nice day.